from the News Center, this is News Channel 8 Today.
Breaking news this morning, an officer is dead in Tarpon Springs. We're live on the scene right now as new information continues to come in. Good morning, I'm Lauren Make. Thanks for joining us today. Breaking news this morning, an officer is dead after a shooting in Tarpon Springs, and now the suspect is in custody. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office tells us this shooting happened early this morning, about 3 a.m. on Grand Boulevard. News Channel 8's Lindsay Mastes is live from the scene for us this morning. Lindsay, what have you been able to find out?
Well, Lauren, this is such a tragic scene. I want to have you guys zoom in here because we believe that this is the police officer's vehicle, and that is where they're conducting the investigation. Now, we just spoke with a neighbor who tells us that he saw it happen. He says that he was in the condominiums that are right across the street here. He tells us, his name's Kevin Leitz, he tells us that he saw a man running around with a gun, pounding on doors, and then he heard the shots. He saw the police officer go down and didn't get back up. He says that he was just sick seeing that, and then he says the suspect jumped in a car and peeled out of here. I also want to show you some video that we took this morning. We were the first crew here on the scene. You can see a large police presence. People say that the police not only responded here from Tarpon Springs, but we also have the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office here, as well as several other entities. I want you to hear from a neighbor who said that she was woken up by the sounds of the sirens.
Well, when it woke me up, it scared me to death. And then I never heard sirens like that, just nonstop, and they were like screaming through the night. And I said, it's really got to be something bad.
And so what you're seeing now is the scene here. And like I said, there's not a lot of information at this point. They're still trying to investigate. There's a lot of unanswered questions. We don't exactly know if the police officer responded alone. We do know that Tarpon Springs police officers oftentimes patrol in their vehicles alone. I am joined now by Cecilia Beretta, and you're the public information officer for Pinellas County. We know that someone's in custody. There's not a lot of information that you can give us at this time, but can you just let us know how the officers are doing out here? This is something that's so tragic and so out of the ordinary.
Well, as you might imagine, it's very sad. We are very pleased with the support that the various agencies in this area are providing by coming here this morning to support officers, support the deputies in this situation. We have limited information right now. The investigation is progressing very meticulously in order to determine what exactly has occurred here, and we're going to be putting out information about this press conference as soon as we can, and hopefully a lot of the unanswered questions will be taken care of at that point in time.
Right, and we're also standing by for this news conference as well, which could happen in some time. That's when a lot of the information is going to come forward. The suspect in this case, is there anything you can tell us about him, where he was arrested, if he's cooperating?
No, other than that he is likely being interviewed at this point in time with regards to this particular incident. I don't have information right now as to how he is reacting or how he is being cooperative or uncooperative with the officers and with the deputies. But again, hopefully we'll have a little bit more information as soon as we can.
And hearts and thoughts and prayers, and our hearts go out to the officer's family. I'm assuming that they've been notified at this point.
Certainly, they have. It is my understanding that the family has been notified, and we're hoping to be able to provide the identification on this individual as soon as possible. And as you said, just a very tragic set of circumstances here this morning in Tarpon Springs, and everyone is handling it as best as possible. It's very sad anytime you have a law enforcement officer who is killed in the line of duty.
Thank you so much for talking with us. And I want to show you around a little bit. The scene is right here. We've got condominiums next door. Across the street, we believe those are houses. There's a lot of tree cover there. But if you just kind of take a look here, you'll probably, if you've ever been to Tarpon Springs, you'll probably recognize the street and this body of water past here. This is one of those areas that's a pretty quiet neighborhood. They've got all of this shut down right now. The streets are shut down all the way down here. Let's just swing around real quick. You can see that this is Grand Street here, and it is shut down way down there. They did let the media up here a little bit closer so that we could show you guys what is going on. This is Orange Street here. This is also shut down all the way past to where those lights are, where that intersection is there. You know, it's a very big perimeter, and also on the other side of the scene is shut down as well. They want to make sure that nobody's coming through here, that they can do a full investigation. I want to see if we can zoom back down to where this police officer's car is. This will show you a little bit more about how these investigations go. You'll recognize there on the ground numbers, you know, numbering of the evidence, possibly numbering the shots if there are any shells left. This is how they go about the investigations. They'll start measuring, you know, collecting evidence, wanting to find out exactly, you know, what happened where. This is how they put together, you know, what happened, and this will all be used in the investigation going forward. This is such a tragic scene, and a lot of the neighbors, you know, they say that they heard something at 3 in the morning, but a lot of people didn't know what had happened, and so we're going around and we're telling the neighbors what had happened, and they are crushed. You see their facial expressions change. They cannot believe that this happened here, and a lot of people are concerned because yesterday, you might remember, there were 2 police officers shot in New York. I believe it was execution style. Some people are asking, does that have anything to do with this? I did ask Cecilia Beretta here about that. She said that at this point, they don't believe that, you know, they have any indication that that is in any way related to what happened in New York, but that's of course what everyone's minds are immediately going to. Lauren, I'm live out here in the scene. You know, what else do you want to, you know,
Lindsay, I want to go back to something. Yeah, we are still waiting for a lot of information to come in, but I want to go back to something that you mentioned at the beginning about that witness that you spoke with, talking about a man banging on doors with a gun. What else can you tell us about that? Was there any interaction that witness tells you that he saw between the officer and the suspect?
You know, at this point, he wasn't extremely specific. He was really shaken up by the fact that he saw that officer go down. He said that it just made him feel so sick. I mean, just sick, and he's extremely shaken up out here. And I mean, you can can tell that he saw something that was just extremely disturbing. So he didn't go into a lot of detail, but he did let us know kind of the gist of what he saw, that there was a man running around with a gun. He heard the pounding from all the way over here in the condominiums of some guy pounding on doors, and then that's when, you know, he just kind of peeked out his window and tried to watch and see what was going on. You know, we're also trying to find out whether this officer was inside his car or outside of his car at the time, and you know, that's still a little bit unclear at this time, but just judging from what this witness tells us, he said he saw the officer go down, so it sounds like this was something that was escalating.
And did
the
witness that you spoke with, did he say where the officer was at that point? Was he able to point out to you where this was all taking place? Was it inside that condominium complex?
No, it's not. And if you take a look, the condominiums are right over here. And then if we kind of go over down to the street, you'll see where the car was. Now, when I try to get an official word on whether he was shot on the side with the condominiums or the other side here, the public information officer told us that that was not information that they could release yet, that's something they're still investigating. But if you look and see where all those numbers are, it is hard to tell because there's so many on the one side of the car, but there's also some on the sidewalk on the other side. So I think, you know, from that vantage point, it being 3 in the morning, it being extremely dark out here, you know, he saw him go down, and that's all he can think about right now, is just that officer went down and didn't get back up, and that's what he wanted us to know.
Horrifying for anyone who saw that, horrifying if you live there, horrifying, of course, for this police agency and the loved ones of this police officer. We're still waiting to find out who the officer is and also who that suspect is. And you also mentioned that suspect leaving the scene. They did take that suspect into custody. Do we have any other information about whether they are looking for anyone else? Earlier, I believe we were told they were not, but what's the latest on that?
Yeah, I asked if they were looking for anyone else, and the reason I asked that is because when we were driving up here, we saw sheriff's deputies about every mile. Some of them were parked in lanes, you know, blocking turn lanes. Some were in medians. And I said, what is going on? And they said that they don't believe that there's anyone else out there. And I asked if it was related to this, and that was something that they weren't sure. This is what's going on. Is there's several different police agencies that are all trying to cooperate together, and I think what they're trying to do is dot all the I's, cross all the T's before they tell us anything concrete, because they don't, in a case especially like this, they don't want anything out there that's incorrect or inaccurate. It's just too important to make sure that everything that comes out is 100% right.
And we should point out at this point that this is a Tarpon Springs police officer that we are talking about who has been shot and killed overnight. However, the information that we're getting this morning is coming from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, from the county agency there. They are sort of taking the responsibility of disseminating that information, getting it out to the public. Have you seen officials from the Tarpon Springs Police Department talking with you at all? Have they been out there, or have they been just sort of working on their investigation?
Yeah, I believe they're working on the investigation. You know, there are so many police agencies out here, but the ones that are talking with us is Pinellas County. They're the ones that we're supposed to be talking to. The other thing that I just kind of wanted to note, you know, Tarpon Springs Police Department, there is going to be a news conference later. It very well could be at the Tarpon Springs Police Department, or it might be out here. They're still trying to determine where they want to release all of this information at, and so that's something that we're really waiting for at this point. One other thing I wanted to mention as well is the homicide unit is investigating, but we do not know what charges might be levied against the suspect in this case. It could be homicide, it could be manslaughter. They don't know the circumstances at this point, so they can't even say that this is an official homicide charges that could come out of this at this point.
And Lindsay, what you talked about with a witness saying someone was banging on the doors, the neighbors that you've spoken with, have they talked about any other disturbances like that have been happening in that neighborhood recently?
Yeah, so what we were told is that this street is extremely quiet, but we did talk to some people in a hotel up here, and some of the neighbors say occasionally there might be, you know, a police car that comes over to the hotel if there's a disturbance there, or maybe somebody in the neighborhood would get pulled over for speeding, that sort of thing. Nothing like this has happened in this neighborhood. I spoke with neighbors who've been here for a decade or longer, and they are just in complete shock that something like this happened, especially in this neighborhood.
Still a lot of questions. Again, the officer who was killed, we don't know exactly what he was doing at the time, what his interaction was with this suspect, and how all of this happened. But we know that it ended terribly, terribly tragically for that officer. Lindsay Masters reporting live in Tarpon Springs this morning. We're going to continue to check back with you throughout the morning, and we will, of course, bring that live press conference to you from the Tarpon Springs Police Department and the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office when that happens. Right now, though, let's get a quick check of our weather with Julie Phillips. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, and it's a busy day for weather as well this morning. We do have more clouds around, and also we are looking at rain chances rolling back into the forecast for this afternoon especially, and as we head into this evening. Want to take a look outside right now at Hula Bay in South Tampa. You can see the overcast sky, 70 degrees, winds coming in out of the south between around 5 to 10 miles per hour. So going to be another warm day. We have the stalled frontal boundary across the Tampa Bay area. It's sunken a little bit further south, so this will allow showers to reach into our area, especially this afternoon and this evening, along with that disturbance you can see in the Gulf. And in our northern spots, northern Citrus County, we're already seeing some light rain and sprinkles. And I think over the next couple of hours, most of the showers we see will be around Pasco County or north of that. But as we head into this afternoon, this evening, that starts to change a little bit. It's 64 still in Waimama, 66 in St. Pete, 62 in Weeki Wachee. So a mild morning, going to be a warm day. And you can see today we're looking at about a 30 to 40% chance of rain, especially as we head into late this afternoon into this evening. And rain chances continuing all the way through Christmas Eve. So we'll break down what could be a very active forecast as we head into next week coming up in your full forecast. Lauren?
Thanks, Julie. We do want to remind you the breaking news we're following this morning. An officer is dead after a shooting in Tarpon Springs. We'll tell you where the suspect is now, and we'll update you with the latest information from the scene coming up here on News Channel 8. Stay with us. Breaking news this morning. An officer is dead after a shooting in Tarpon Springs, and now the suspect is in custody. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office tells us this shooting happened early this morning about 3 a.m. on Grand Boulevard. And as we are getting new information about what happened here, as we are getting the information about who this officer may be, who this suspect is, and what happened, we are also monitoring what you are talking about on social media. People are reacting to this as they are waking up on this Sunday morning and hearing this tragic news. We want to share some of that with you today. The Tarpon Springs Fire Rescue has posted on their Facebook page about an officer dying in the line of duty, saying that they are all family with our brothers and sisters in blue and are so very saddened. This is from the Tarpon Springs Fire Rescue. Others are reacting. We have a tweet from Commissioner Ken Welch in Pinellas County saying, saddened to learn of the death of a Tarpon Springs police officer. Our thoughts and prayers are with the officer's family and fellow law enforcement officers. That's from Commissioner Ken Welch in Pinellas County. And these are continuing to come in. I am just continuing to check my social media streams this morning. Just saw one from someone from Deborah Cox-Roush saying, as the wife of a retired police officer, my heart is heavy today. If you see an officer today, thank them. Thank them, of course, for their service is what she's talking about there. And Lindsay Mastis has been out in this neighborhood in Tarpon Springs, and law enforcement from around the Bay Area are descending on that area this morning as they are investigating this, trying to figure out what happened and how all of this transpired. Again, it happened about 3 a.m. in Tarpon Springs on Grand Boulevard. We know that one officer is dead. What you're looking at is video from overnight as we were on the scene as all of this was unfolding. We still are waiting to find out the identity of this police officer killed. We are also waiting to find out the identity of the suspect. Pinellas County Sheriff's Office tells us they do have a suspect in custody. What we don't know right now is whether that suspect is cooperating, giving them any information or any indication of why this happened. So we are continuing to follow that this morning. We're also waiting for a press conference from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office and Tarpon Springs Police to give us some more information about what happened here, how this transpired. Now, we have been told that the family of the police officer has been notified this morning about his death, and we are waiting to get that information as well. Right now, though, we do have an interview with a witness that we want to bring you right after the break. We have new information coming in moment by moment this morning on this breaking news. We'll bring you that information and that interview coming up.
Waking up on this Sunday morning, looking at lots of clouds around to start off your day. Sitting at 64 degrees with our winds light out of the southeast at around 5 miles per hour. So warm temperatures to start off your Sunday. Lots of cloud cover around. Some sprinkles in our northern counties for this morning, but we'll look at a better chance of rain as we head into this afternoon and this evening. Temperatures still expected to reach up into the mid-70s despite the extra cloud cover around today. And we'll continue to see scattered showers, maybe even a thunderstorm as we head into this evening and through the overnight hours. So if you're heading out to the Bucks game, things look okay, but there is still a chance we could see a passing shower or two, especially for the second half of the game. Temperatures, though, will be in the mid-70s, so if we do see any showers, it'll still remain warm, so it shouldn't be too uncomfortable for you. We do have some deeper moisture that's rolling in from the south, so with some deeper moisture around and also a stalled frontal boundary across the Tampa Bay area, that's aiding in our rain chances for today. And again, we're looking at about a 30 to 40% chance of rain as we do head into later on today. In our northern spots, we are actually looking at a few light sprinkles already around. You can see moving in off the Gulf. And if we do see showers over the next couple of hours, most of these should remain in our northern spots. But those rain chances spread further south as we head into the afternoon and evening. So you can see by 1 p.m. starting to see some more rain building in the Gulf. This will push closer inland as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Better rain chances for our northern spots. Overnight, we'll continue to see rain across the region, and heading into Monday, the cloud cover continues, and we're still looking at rain chances in the forecast. So if you live Pasco County's North Fork today, about a 50% chance of rain. The rest of us looking at maybe around a 30% chance of rain. And if you head further south towards Sarasota, North Fork, we're only looking at about a 20% chance of showers for later on this afternoon. Currently in St. Pete at 66 degrees, 70 still in Plant City, 63 in Inverness, and 63 in Crystal River for us. And as we take a step back, you can see really some chilly temperatures across the country this morning. It's 34 in Chicago, only 35 degrees in Memphis, 46 in Atlanta. So starting to feel like winter. And remember, winter does officially begin this evening. Holidays right around the corner, so what are we expecting? Well, unfortunately, we're still looking at a very good chance of storms on Christmas Eve for us, especially during the morning hours. Temperatures still warm on Christmas Eve, but behind this cold front that brings us the storms, temperatures fall back into the mid-60s for Christmas Day. So for this afternoon, a high near 76, about a 40% chance of showers. Temperatures in the mid-70s as we head into next week still. We'll keep rain chances in the forecast, cloud cover around. Storms Wednesday, and then we clear out by Christmas. So,
boy, and it looks like over the past few days, those rain chances have just been sort of creeping up for the early part of the week.
They have. And we're still looking at the timing a little bit of when exactly we'll see that front roll in, but it looks to be Christmas Eve morning for the real storms.
Okay, something to be aware of, especially as folks are getting out there doing those last errands. You want to make sure you plan for that. Thanks, Julie. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and after that, we'll be back with more on our breaking news. An officer dead in Tarpon Springs. More on that coming up. We are following breaking news this morning. An officer is dead after a shooting in Tarpon Springs, and the suspect is in custody. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office tells us this shooting happened early this morning about 3 a.m. on Grand Boulevard. We are getting new information all morning on this. We have had team coverage with Peter Bernard and Lindsay Mastis at the scene. But what we know right now is an officer has been killed. A Tarpon Springs police officer has been killed. We are told his family has been notified, and we are waiting to learn his identity as well as the identity of the suspect. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office tells us the suspect is in custody this morning, and we are waiting to find out whether that suspect is cooperating and what police and law enforcement are learning from that suspect about what happened here, why this happened overnight. Of course, this is coming on the heels of 2 New York City police officers that were killed yesterday, and so a lot of questions coming into the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office today about whether there is any connection to that. Right now, they are telling us they are not telling us there is a connection. However, this is something that a lot of people are questioning today. What we do know is that 1 police officer in Tarpon Springs is dead, and we are waiting to get more information on that. We did speak with a witness in the area, a neighbor who tells us he heard banging on doors and saw the shooting happen, saw that police officer go down. We are working to confirm that information and get more information and answer questions for neighbors out there who are stunned, terrified, horrified that this happened in their neighborhood. And thanks so much for joining us for this breaking news. We will bring you that live press conference as it happens, and we will be back at noon.